Hi guys, I've missed you. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kai for those of you visiting for the first time, and basically on this channel we talk about all true crime cases that happen or have happened in the 808 state. So if you like true crime and you like Hawaii, I do hope that you subscribe and put on that notification bell, because unlike what happened in this last couple weeks, I don't know and I don't have an exact day of when I post videos. I do try and post weekly, of course, but when things come up that I have to take care of, like with my family and my kids, sometimes I'm not able to post, but I try my best. So, two reminders before we talk about today's case. Please remember to be kind in your comments, guys. No hurt, no hate, no shade. Remember, like your mom said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And if I do read your comment and I am butthurt, I am gonna delete your comment and block your ass. Secondly, please remember that this video is strictly for entertainment purposes only. It is never my intent to spread false information or give out incorrect facts. So if you watch this video and you feel that I've misrepresented something, or if I've left out an important piece of the case, please guys, please, I strongly urge you to leave me a comment and let me know. Again, never my intent to spread false information. All right, let's get into today's case. So today's case took place in 1999 on November 2nd, 1999. The day started off like any other day in Honolulu, Hawaii. Over at the Xerox building located at 1200 North Nimitz Highway, Xerox employees, were pulling up to their building, parking their cars, getting out, getting their lunch bags with their coffee, just getting ready for the day, saying hi to fellow co-workers, yada yada, and basically making their way to their respective desks. However, just past a little after 8 o'clock a.m., a man enters the Xerox building. He climbs the stairs to the second floor. He enters room 204 and he shoots Ronald Kawame, who was seated at a desk. The gunman then turns to Jason Balatico, and again, I am so sorry if I'm mispronouncing names. We all know I'm terrible with that, so just bear with me. The gunman turns to Jason Balatico and shoots Jason as Jason is trying to flee the room. The man starts to walk down the highway, which then allows Randall Shin, who was in the room at the time and saw his two workers slumped over, the time to leave and run for his life. Because Randall Shin knew that if he didn't leave as soon as possible, his fate could end up like his two co-workers. Now, although at the time Randall Shin did not see the shooter's face, he knew that this was like a serious situation and he just needed to run. He needed to dig and just, get out of there. And after the man leaves and walks down the hallway, Randall Shin is able to, leave the room, and he was unharmed. The gunman walks down, heads to the conference room where 5 employees were having a meeting, right? So the man enters the conference room and he shoots all 5 men. And the 5 men are Ronald, I'm gonna just read so I don't get the names wrong, Ronald Kataoka, John Sakamoto, Melvin Lee, Peter Mark, and Ford Kanehira. Okay, so those are the 5 men that were shot. After the man shoots these 5 men, he leaves the conference room and he makes his way out of the building. He takes an exit, a back exit. He goes down the stairs, he takes this back exit to get out of the building, and he actually takes a company van, slips away, okay? And this is all just a little past 8 o'clock a.m. Now, by now, news has spread, and Honolulu Police Department is very much aware of the situation. And so HPD asked the public for their help and asked the public to keep an eye out for this shooter. They give out all the details. He's driving a company van, it gives out all the details. So luckily, it wasn't long before a jogger spots the man parked near the Hawaii Nature Center in Makiki in the van. Okay, I mean, as if tensions weren't already elevated, at this time there were 60 fourth graders and their 12 chaperones from Hickam Elementary School on a nature hike near the nature center. So the adults, the chaperones, are notified of the situation, and they were told to get to higher ground, basically to get to safety. So by now, authorities have identified the shooter, and the shooter is identified as Xerox employee Byran Uyesugi. Okay, HPD quickly learns that Bryan has an older brother. He has a father, and he had a mother who Bryan was very close to. Bryan's mother passed away due to cancer. And so the decision to bring in a woman negotiator is decided because of Bryan's family dynamics. Because Bryan was close to his mother, HPD thought that it was a smart idea to bring in a woman negotiator to talk to Bryan to get him to surrender. And the person that is tasked with this daunting task is none other than Detective Cheryl Sunia. Now, Cheryl Sunia was part of the hostage crisis negotiation team at the time. Being chosen as the person to help the suspect surrender is not an easy task. And Sunia said at the time that very little information was given to her. All they knew that there was a shooter and this was the suspect, and her job was to get this man to surrender. She didn't know how many victims were shot. She didn't know, the details of it. She just knew that she needed to sink into the role as negotiator and get this man to surrender before he hurts anybody else in the public. Sunia was the first person to talk to Bryan after the shooting spree. Sunia said she was up on a hillside, sitting in bushes, sitting with the cockroaches and centipedes while Bryan was sitting comfortably in his van. He was seen, smoking cigarettes, reading magazines. At one point he had some water, but Cheryl Sunia said that he had dumped out the water. And, Cheryl Sunia was thirsty. Sunia recalled it not being a typical negotiation. And by that, she meant that, it wasn't like Bryan was on drugs and, just totally insane. Sunia said that Bryan actually sounded intelligent. And, excuse me, guys, my cat wants to get involved. Another thing, too, was that it was hot and there were 35 children locked in the nature center. Oh my gosh. I'll be back, guys. Obviously my cat, wants my attention. All right, go ahead. Go over there. Anyways, excuse me. It was hot and there were 35 school children locked in the nature center with no food, no water, and, time was of the essence. Now, can you imagine being in this situation where either you're a parent or you're a teacher? I mean, can you imagine if you're one of those parents of one of those children, right? I mean, this was it's just horrible. It's terrifying. That's what that is. Just terrifying. So, anyway. Sunia stated that Bryan was adamant that his coworkers were sabotaging his work and out to get him. Sorry, guys. Go, my cat. Oh my gosh. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So, Sunia stated Bryan was adamant his co-workers were sabotaging his work and out to get him. Bryan even claimed that one of the victims, Jason Balatico, was a federal agent that did things to Bryan. He accused Balatico of breaking the safety of his Colt 45, which is one of his guns, and Bryan thought Jason was an undercover federal agent who would snicker and laugh at him every time. He claimed Jason stole his woodwork and killed the fish that he was raising. I guess Bryan was known to raise koi, so he actually thought that Jason Balatico cut off the behinds of the fish. I know, it's crazy, it's bizarre, but let's just keep going. Bryan thought his van was bugged. Sunia said that Bryan knew at the time that he had two options, either to go to jail for murder or to the S word. Bryan knew that that was his only two options. Go to jail for murder or end his life. After making small talk about hunting on Lanai with wild turkeys, Sunia promised Bryan a Pepsi. And I guess Sonia said, I'll play a short video clip of this, but I guess Sonia, it was hot, and so Sonia got around talking to Bryan and asked him, what's your favorite soda? And Bryan said, I don't have one. To which Cheryl Sonia said, no, everybody has a favorite soda. What's your favorite soda? And Bryan said, Pepsi. So Cheryl Sonia took this as her in and said, hey, you know what? If you come out, I promise you I will get you the biggest, largest Pepsi with lots of ice.
So now him and I both didn't have water. And then I said, I'm really hot and tired. What if I bought you a soda? What's your favorite soda? He goes, I don't have one. I said, everybody has a favorite soda. And he goes, Pepsi. And so I said, you know what, Byran, let's sit down. I will buy you a Pepsi if you come out.
About 5 hours later, Byran Uyesugi finally surrendered.
So after 5 long, grueling hours, Bryan surrendered peacefully, and Cheryl Sonia did good and kept her word. She got Bryan that Pepsi with lots of ice, the biggest Pepsi she could find, and she accompanied Bryan down to the police station. Now, Cheryl Sonia said that during the negotiation and the talk with Bryan, she purposely steered clear about talking about the shooting because she did not want to agitate Bryan. She let Bryan kind of, lead the way and bring up the topic if he wanted to talk about it. I do want to share, a little bit about the 7 victims. So, and this is not in any order. I'm just going down what I wrote here. Excuse me that I might look down and I might read some of the information because it is a lot of information and my memory is, diminishing. So anyway, the first victim is Jason Balatico, who was just 33 years young when he was shot to death. Jason Balatico was born on June 3rd, 1966 in Honolulu, Hawaii. He's described as a great guy, that was always willing to go above and beyond what the job required. Jason is described as a prankster and a jokester. I guess that guy, that person that's always cracking jokes, always making fun, just laughing. Jason played baseball for Farrington High School in the early 80s. He loved life and he loved playing, like I said, pranks and jokes on others. He was a wonderful father and a loving husband. He is survived by his wife, Mary Lynn, and a daughter and a son. The second victim is Ford Kanehira, who was 41 years old. Ford worked for Xerox for 19 years. He leaves behind a 5-year-old son named Bryce and a wife, Lorna. Ford was a fun-loving guy who adored his son. His wife, Lorna, said they had a difficult time finding a photograph of Ford because Ford was usually always the person taking the pictures. He was content on focusing on family. He graduated from Castle High School, and around 800 family and friends attended Ford's service. The third victim is Peter Mark. Peter Mark was 46 years old. Peter leaves behind a wife, Karen, and 2 young children. Peter, I believe, has 4 sisters, 2 brothers, a mom, and a stepdad. Peter's aunt, Isabel Tam, said that he was a very good boy. He was very well liked. Peter, Mark, and Melvin Lee. Melvin Lee is actually another victim. They're actually first cousins. So this family suffered a great loss. Okay, so Peter, Mark, and Melvin Lee are first cousins. That's just devastating. Peter loved the ocean, and so his ashes were actually spread in Maunalani Bay. Peter is a dedicated father, a friendly person who was easy to get along with and never spoke badly about other people. That's Peter Mark. The next victim is Ronald Kataoka, who is 50 years old. He was a family man, always smiling, never shouting at his family. He leaves behind a 11-year-old daughter and wife. Neighbors said that Ronald was a really nice guy, always upbeat and smiling, and it was often seen playing basketball with his daughter in the front yard or, in their yard. Ronald worked for Xerox for 11 years. That's just, a lot of these victims worked for Xerox for a really long time. The next victim is Ronald Kawame. He was 54 years old when his life was taken. Ronald was born on November 29, 1944. He worked for Xerox for 30 years. Ronald loved to golf. He really liked his job. He lived in Makiki, and he's survived by a son, Reed, and one grandson named Rinton. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name incorrect. Ronald's son Reed said he and his father were in the process of mending their relationship, and Reed is obviously devastated that he and his father's time was cut short. The next victim is Melvin Lee. I believe Melvin Lee was actually Byran Uyesugi's supervisor at Xerox. Anyway, Melvin Lee was 58 years old. He's from Waipahu, survived by his wife Anne. He worked for Xerox for 30 years. Again, another long time employee of Xerox. Melvin Lee was a field manager in customer service. He was considering retirement. He was a manager with a big heart, soft-spoken, non-confrontational. So that was Melvin Lee. The last victim I have is John Sakamoto. John Sakamoto was 36 years old when his life was taken from him. He's from Honolulu. He's survived by his wife Susan, and he has a daughter that is 4 years old and a son that is 2 years old at the time. He was a good family man and a good neighbor. I could not find that much information of John Sakamoto, but it sounds like he was just, an all-around good guy, dedicated to his family. Can you guys see that? My dog is like climbing up and trying to get the chicken nugget. Oh, he got it. Anyways, let's talk about the suspect, the shooter. Bryan Koji Uyesugi was born in Honolulu to parents Hiroyuki, and I could not find his mom's name, Mrs. Uyesugi. He has one older brother named Dennis, and in high school, Bryan was a member of Roosevelt's Army JROTC and began his liking of guns, having also been a member of the school's rifle team. So when Bryan at a very young age learned about guns, and it said that at the time of his arrest, he had about 25 guns registered to his name, dating all the way back to 1982. So Bryan learned about guns at a very young age, and I believe his father, Hiroyuki, also had some guns, when the police came and raided their house and, collected a bunch of things from their house. According to Bryan's older brother, Dennis, in 1977, Bryan crashed his father's car after driving home from a graduation party, and Bryan hit his head, I guess, on the windshield. And Dennis said that ever since that accident, Bryan has never been the same. Uyesugi was employed as a service technician for Xerox since 1984, so he was at Xerox for quite a while as well. Bryan's father, Hiroyuki, claims that Bryan was normal until he started working for Xerox. In 1988, Bryan complained he had a poking sensation in his head. Bryan said black shadows would pin him down at night, and said that the FBI was following him. And so the family was concerned. And so the family had a kahuna come to the Uyesugi house to bless it, because Bryan was afraid there was a spirits following him. Now, for those of you who do not know what a kahuna is, it's basically like a Hawaiian priest. They come in and they say, some prayer and chants and stuff, and they bless whatever that needs to be blessed. So Bryan's family did this for him. 1993, 6 years before the shooting happened, Bryan was arrested at work for kicking in an elevator door. He was required to undergo a psych evaluation and attend anger management classes. He was arrested for third-degree criminal property, and I guess as early as 1995, co-workers claimed that Bryan would openly speak about carrying out a mass shooting at work should he ever get fired. So 1999 is when the shooting happened, and coworkers say as early as 1995, you know, they would hear through the grapevine or coconut wireless that Bryan would openly talk about this. Like, hey, if I get fired, I'm gonna come back and shoot everybody. A psychiatrist who examined Bryan at the time of his arrest found that Bryan suffered from a delusional disorder and paranoia, but did not find Bryan to be dangerous. And the arrest that I'm talking about is the one back in So the arrest that I'm talking about is the one in 1993, right? So because he was required to undergo a psych eval. So the psychiatrist said, yeah, Bryan is delusional and suffers from paranoia, but we don't find Bryan to be dangerous. So for whatever reason, Bryan was able to keep his job. He was able to go back to work. I guess, you know, at the time, Xerox management was pleased with whatever Bryan completed. So at the Xerox building, oh my God, my dog just took all the chicken nuggets and fries. Anyway, at the Xerox building, changes were being made to the copier machines. And so management wanted Bryan to get training in operating these new machines, you know, fixing these new machines. But for some reason, Bryan just did not want to. He really was against learning about these new machines. I mean, he really thought that management and his co-workers were out to get him, out to get his job. And all management wanted to do is, you know, for Bryan to get trained and up to par with these new machines. I mean, it's just, it makes sense, right? There's a new machine. You need to learn how to operate it. You need to learn how to fix it. But Bryan, he didn't want to. He thought his co-workers and his supervisor was against him. And he actually made a comment, and I quote, "I decided to give them a reason to fire me." This was after he shot, you know, went into the Xerox building and shot up the place. Trial started on May 15 of 2000 and lasted 1 month long. That's a really long time. Of course, Bryan's defense team pleaded not guilty. They made him plead not guilty by reason of insanity, saying he felt like an outcast at work and feared his colleagues conspired to have him fired. 2 doctors testified for the defense, claiming that he was insane. There was a Dr. Park, Diota, and Dr. Daryl Matthews. However, Dr. Michael Wellner testified for the prosecution and said that although Bryan was schizophrenic, in his opinion, the fact that Bryan carried out the shooting because he was angry that he'd be fired for not doing the required training, and that Bryan's own concealment of the shooting before the crime shows that Bryan knew what he was doing was wrong. So the defense team is trying to say that he's not guilty by reason of insanity, but the prosecution says, no. Bryan knew exactly what he was doing. Needless to say, the jury finds Bryan sane and guilty of all 7 murders and 1 attempted murder. Bryan received a life sentence of 235 years, the longest sentence given in Hawaii history. With no chance of parole. In 2005, Xerox and the hospital that examined Uyesugi settled a lawsuit with the families of the victims who felt that they ignored Bryan's mental state, which evidently led to the shooting. This case, this event, changed Hawaii forever. Let me know what you guys think. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, you know, just about anything, or if you were one of the families that were affected. My heart goes out to you sincerely. I'm so sorry for your loss. Oh, yes, I do have my safety tip. I remember I said I'm gonna start saying a safety tip at the end of each video. I guess my safety tip that's connected with this case is that if you guys are, you know, working somewhere and you notice one of your coworkers with, you know, this anger and this kind of temper, take it up to management. If you hear, like prime example, if you hear one of your coworkers saying that they're gonna commit some mass shooting if they get fired, talk to your supervisor, talk to your manager. Don't take it lightly. I guess that's my safety tip. If you hear something at work, say something. So before I go, I do want to share something with you guys. Today, I'm actually wearing these beautiful custom nails They are by Swish Nails and Jewelry. They're so pretty, right? And this beautiful butterfly necklace with this pendant and beautiful, cute, I don't know if you can see, but butterfly earrings. Anyways, I'm going to share the website and all the information where you can get these products in my next video. I'll leave it in the description box. They are a new company and they're going to be going live real soon, but it's just really cute. They do offer, you know, preset nails, and they are going to offer custom nails, but these are just great. Like, I've put them on a few days ago and they're like standing strong, and I have young kids and I'm always busy and I'm doing stuff, and they're still holding up. I mean, I just love them, especially right now with COVID, like, you know, going out to the nail salon and stuff, and a lot of people are on unemployment or out of work. So I believe this set cost me, I think, like $25, which is super affordable, and they're so beautiful and they look professional. Oh my gosh, and they feel very lightweight. I love them. So on my next video, I'll give you guys all the information, but I wanted to share that with you. And they just have also these beautiful butterfly necklace and earring sets. Again, it's called Swish Nails and Jewelry. I just wanted to go ahead and share that with you before I leave. All right, that's all. Bye. See you guys next week. Aloha.